Man, bringing those Falcon 9 Phase 1 rockets back, that's something special right there. No doubt about it. 8 minutes after launch, they land that thing back on landing pad number 1 on the Cape Canaveral Air Force side. Used to be launch pad 13, but nobody liked to use launch pad 13 for the superstition reasons. So they changed the name to landing pad number 1. So everybody's happy with that. I think our next launch is June 15th, I believe. I'm not sure the time yet. I didn't look at the time, but June 15th. So launch days are always a lot of fun out here, as long as the rain doesn't mess things up. Yeah. The astronaut of the day is John Blaha. You can see him at 3 o'clock in the Astronaut Encounter Theater, or from 4 to 4:45 on the second floor of the gift shop. He signs autographs, answers questions, and tells stories. Why is it, folks, it's so interesting to listen to an astronaut tell a story? Why is that?
Is he still alive to tell it?
Yeah, still alive to tell it, yeah. Because they're always out of this world, folks. Not bad, huh? Can you tell I write my own material, huh? Yeah, now you know why I drive the bus, folks. So let me get in my seat. We'll be going here in just a minute.
Thank you.
So we need to keep our eyes moving, guys. You never know. We might see a wild hog, bobcat, coyote,
Really?
maybe a gopher tortoise. Or if you see a pink bird, that's a roseate spoonbill. Or we might see one of our 5,000 alligators, guys. Yeah, 5,000 of those. We're not sure about that because the last people we sent to count those alligators never came back. So we're just sticking with that 5,000 number there. All right, out the right front corner of the bus, you'll see a real Redstone rocket with a Mercury capsule on top. Believe it or not, guys, that is what Alan Shepard went up in on May 5th of 1961 to become the first American in space. Stayed in space only about 15 minutes and then splashed down at the Bahamas. Now, if you look up underneath this rocket, guys, it was actually only a missile. You'll see a blue stand and a red cone. Well, guys, that's the actual launch pad right there. That's all there was to it.
Wow, that's tiny.
Now, Bob Cabana, currently the director here at Kennedy Space Center, also a 4-time shuttle astronaut. He's made us a video, so please sit back and relax. Enjoy the video. And we're off like a herd of turtles.
Hi, I'm Bob Cabana, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to NASA's John F. Kennedy Space Center. From launching the first Americans into space to launching humans to the moon, we've launched and carried the dreams of a nation. None of it would have been possible without the tremendous team that made it happen here on the Space Coast. That has made possible the launch of every American vehicle that carried a crew into space since that first flight 50 years ago. During this tour, you'll get a unique, behind-the-scenes look at how America wrote many significant chapters in human and robotic space history. Most recently, the Space Shuttle program that launched 135 missions culminated in the assembly of the International Space Station in low Earth orbit. The station is truly an engineering marvel and a testament to what we can accomplish when we all work together. I think one of the most enduring legacies will be the international cooperation that we've achieved in building and operating it. It's provided us the framework for how we will move forward as we explore beyond our home planet. Not as explorers from any one country, but as explorers from planet Earth. You're visiting the center at a very exciting time. Since the end of the Space Shuttle program, we've been working on groundbreaking missions that are paving the way to the future. We're focused on launching scientific and research satellites, restoring U.S. capability to launch humans into space from American soil, forging commercial partnerships, modernizing our infrastructure and facilities, to support the growing variety of government and commercial activities and missions, and working toward long-term human exploration missions on our journey to Mars. For the first time since the end of the Apollo program, which took us to the moon, NASA is taking steps to send astronauts into deep space with the new Orion exploration vehicle. We have the first spacecraft in history able to transport crews to destinations further than we've ever gone before, including Mars. As capable as Apollo was, the longest round-trip mission to the moon was only 12 days. Orion can sustain a crew of 4 up to 21 days, and when coupled with a habitability module, will allow us to undertake human missions to Mars, which will require close to a 2-year round trip. The vehicle that will carry Orion is the Space Launch System.
Guys. Well, it's taller than a football field is long. Most we ever did in the VAB at one time was 2. Then we landed on the moon, so we retired the Apollo program and converted everything over for 30 glorious years of shuttle activity. We assembled all 135 shuttles right here in that VAB. Well, now the shuttle program's retired. The Atlantis is right there in the visitors complex, folks. So now we're converting everything over once again, along with 70 different lifting devices, so we can begin to assemble NASA's brand new rocket, the SLS, the Space Launch System, more powerful than the Saturn V, along with the Orion space capsule, which is being built right here at KSC as we speak. That's what's going to take us not only to the moon, folks, but to an asteroid and eventually to Mars. To the right of the flag, the NASA emblem. Can anyone tell us its nickname? That's the meatball, folks. That's the NASA meatball. All right, since we're not allowed into VAB, we'll watch a video telling us about the size, and it will take us into the building at the same time.
TED is one of the world's largest buildings by volume, the Vehicle Assembly Building, or VAB. It was built for the Apollo program in the 1960s and stands 525 feet or 160 meters high. The American flag you see on the front is 21 stories tall. The VAB is where everything comes together before a launch. The Apollo and Space Shuttle vehicles were assembled for flight in the VAB. This cavernous facility contains 4 huge bays where the spacecraft were assembled using massive overhead bridge cranes for highly complex maneuvers. Today, for SLS. The SLS is the most powerful rocket in history and has an evolvable design that ranges from 321 to 384 feet tall, depending on mission requirements. This rocket will someday help NASA to reach its goal of human exploration of Mars. The large tower next to the VAB is the mobile launcher being built for SLS. When completed, it will carry the massive launch vehicle on top of the crawler transporter to pad 39B. You will learn more about the launch of SLS when we get to the launch pad.
All right, guys, now these tan buildings in front of the bus with the blue stripe around the top, those are the ordered bath retired. NASA has leased all 3 of these buildings to Boeing. In OPF-1, you can see right there on the door, home of the X-37B. Well, guys, that's a secret rocket I'm not allowed to talk about. But you're welcome to Google it whenever you want to. In OPF-3, that's where Boeing, as we speak, they are assembling their brand new capsule, the Starliner. We're going to use that by the end of next year, guys, to take our astronauts to and from the space station, instead of paying the Russians $84 million per seat to do it for us. That's called the Commercial Crew Program. Commercial Crew. SpaceX, they are part of that program also. They're going to use their Falcon rocket and the Dragon Crew capsule to launch off of 39A. That's where they have been launching their Falcon 9. Out the right front corner, folks, behind the orange windsock, that gray, low, flat platform-looking thing with 8 sets of rusty crawlers on it, That's one of our crawlers, guys. That's what we use to take the rocket assemblies from the VAB out to the launch pads via the crawlway. We have two of them. This one's been refurbished for that SLS heavy lift rocket. It has 8 sets of tracks. Each set's larger than the bus. Each set has 57 cleats, and each cleat weighs 1 ton. We'll talk more about the crawler. We'll go by the second one here in just a little bit. Coming up next, one of 3 mobile launch platforms that were built for the Apollo program and then converted over for the shuttle. This particular one was used 30 times. The first time was for the Apollo 11 moon launch. The last time was for the last Discovery launch. Now, if you look up underneath this, guys, you'll see 3 large openings. That's where the flames from the rocket engines and the solid rocket boosters, they come out through those openings down into the flame trench, which is built right into the elevated launch pad. Coming up now, guys, that's the mobile launch platform of the 355-foot tall tower, originally built for the Constellation program, which is canceled. So NASA's converting this over for the SLS, guys. What's going to happen, that crawler we just saw will come up underneath this platform, raise it right up off of those pedestals, take it into High Bay 3 and set it down. They will assemble the SLS on top. Once complete, the crawler goes back into the VAB, picks up the whole rocket assembly, and we'll take it out to 39B via the crawlway. Now the crawlway, guys, that's the highway, so to speak, from the VAB out to the launch pads. 39A is 3.5 miles away. 39B is 4.2. Now the crawlway starts over here to the right. 7 feet deep, filled with rock, sand, gravel, concrete, asphalt, hydraulic oil, diesel fuel, I think even old cat litter. The top 10 to 12 inches, Alabama River rock from the Tennessee River. With the round edges, it makes a smooth ride, and there's no iron in this rock, folks. That means there's no sparks, and that's important when you haul around solid rocket fuel. Now the gray bay door on the right-hand side, the one that's open there, that's High Bay 3. By the end of that, Falcon 9's hooked together. However, they had to start launching the Falcon 9s from this pad because they had a mishap on launch pad 40 on the Air Force side back in September. On top of the pad, you see a horizontal piece of equipment that's called a strong back. They bring that down into the building here, which is called an HIM. Inside there, they'll put the Falcon 9 rocket on top of the strong back, and the strong back will take it back up to the top of the launch pad, raise it up vertical, and then gets ready for launch. SpaceX does everything horizontal until they go vertical to launch. NASA does everything vertical the whole time. How does a launch pad work? Well, folks, if you look up here, you notice the launch pad goes up at an angle. That's a 5-degree angle. They do that to build a flame trench into that elevated launch pad. To the right of the pad, the big water tower holds 320,000 gallons of water. 16 seconds before ignition, they dump that water right into the flame trench. They do that to suppress the noise, not the heat. They have to lower the vibration so it does not damage the launch pad or the launch vehicle. Even with that, it'll stop your heart and break windows 20 miles away, folks. The fence. Why is the fence curved to the outside? That's to keep the alligators off that launch pad, guys. The fence was, when it was first put up, it was straight up and down. Gators climbed over the fence, so workers would not work on the launch pad. The big round white tank you see over here holds 800,000 gallons of liquid hydrogen. There's another one on the other side that holds 750,000 gallons of liquid oxygen. Those are the 2 fuels that propelled the shuttle to 17,500 miles an hour in 8 minutes. That's how fast you must go to get into and stay into low Earth orbit. Called orbital velocity. We'll talk more about it later. Over here to the right, the first set of lightning rod towers, launch pad 41 on the Cape Canaveral Air Force side. United Launch Alliance launches the Atlas V from there. Next set of lightning rod towers, launch pad 40, that's where SpaceX launches that Falcon 9 once they fix the launch pad again. And the last big tall building you see down here is launch pad 37. That's where United Launch Alliance launches the Delta IV. Those are the 3 active launch pads, guys, on the Air Force side. There's 54 over there altogether. Now, who can tell us what is out in front of the bus, folks? What's in front of the bus? That's right, the Atlantic Ocean. Very good. That's one reason they built Kennedy Space Center here. We're on the east coast of the continent. See, when you launch a rocket, especially a heavy lift rocket, one of the best ways to do it is with the rotation of the Earth. Well, the Earth rotates to the east, so the rocket will naturally fly that way. So this way, for safety reasons, we launch over the Atlantic Ocean instead of a large landmass called the United States of America. Also here in Florida, we're close to the equator. The closer to the equator you are, the faster the Earth rotates. We pick up 900 miles an hour, folks, from that rotation. Hours much needed here in Central Brevard County, Florida. We are the #1 lightning strike capital of North America. January 28th, guys, 1986. We launched the Challenger from this very launch pad. 73 seconds into that launch, we lost the Challenger. 4 astronauts and 3 crew members. One of those crew members, guys, you might remember the school teacher, Christy McCullough. Every school-age child in the country was watching that launch that day. I also believe most people remember where they were and what they were doing at the time of that terrible tragedy. By the beginning of 2019, guys, we're going to have the first test flight of that SLS, the most powerful rocket ever built, right from this launch pad right here. You all need to come join us for that. You can see how much fun it is to break windows 20 miles away, folks. Now, sometimes there's alligators around this pond. That's not one there. That's a clump of weeds. So far, all I see is weeds. I don't see any gators. Folks, going to tell us about our trip to Mars.
So this is the pathway that
We explore to gain knowledge, to push the boundaries of possibility, and to reveal the unknown.
We seek to discover, to find answers here on Earth.